Imagine a world where two powerful city-states, Athens and Sparta, are locked in a fierce struggle for supremacy. Their clash not only reshapes ancient Greece, but also lays the foundation for Western civilization as we know it. Intrigued? Let's delve into the epic saga of the Peloponnesian War and uncover how this monumental conflict changed the course of history. If you're new here, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more captivating historical insights. Let's go! The conflict between the Spartan leader of the Delian League of allied city-states and colonies and Athens, a strong navy, and one of the most powerful infantry units in history, faced off in the Peloponnesian League. Athens had already routed a Persian invasion force at the Battle of 10 Years after Marathon. A considerably bigger Persian invading force had significant setbacks and losses at Thermopylae. Where 300 Spartans famously battled to the death, the Persians suffered a significant naval setback at Salamis at the hands of the Athens navy, and the Persian army was ultimately routed on land at Plataea before reducing, and ultimately both states abandoned the initiative and adopted an anti-Persian stance over the next 50 years, supporting any Eastern Mediterranean anti-Persian activity. Following a sporadic truce between Sparta and Athens, the Athenians established the Delian League to combat the Persians at sea. By gaining increasing authority over the League's members, Athens transformed this alliance, becoming an empire that was created in remembrance of its constituents using funds taken from her client states, Athens. The city-state of Corinth had transformed herself into a city that was the envy of the Hellenistic world, with a fleet of 300 triple-banked galleys, each of which was manned by a crew of 170 skilled oarsmen. Leading naval force before the Persian Wars, and as Athens' might increased, her navy surpassed the Corinth fleet 3-1, and started to provoke revolt in their colonies and invade its trade routes in a series of minor battles that lasted for 15 years and were referred to as the First Peloponnesian War. Sparta resisted. In a single inconclusive battle, Athens beat the Athenian army while kept increasing her naval might. One noteworthy event that occurred during this time was the extensive reconstruction of Athens' fortifications, which included a lengthy causeway that connected Athens to the port city of Piraeus and allowed Athens to be completely supplied by water. This hostile era came to an end if an invading army destroyed the nearby agriculture and landscape. Despite the alleged 30-year peace between the two city-states, which would only last for half of that time, hostility between Athens and Corinth persisted, and in 431 BC, Corinth was successful in persuading Sparta and the Peloponnesian League to declare war on Athens, in order to put an end to often referred to as just the first phase of the Second Peloponnesian War, the growing Athenian Empire. In an effort to incite a fierce fight, the Peloponnesian War, also known as the Academic War or Sparta, pillaged the countryside surrounding Athens. The Athenians had foreseen the Spartans' tactic and had set up a steady supply of grain imports from Egypt and its colonies along the Black Sea and Aegean coasts. The blockade of the Peloponnesian was the Athenian strategy. While the Athenians initially appeared to be maintaining the upper hand in this asymmetric war of attrition, which had been meticulously planned for years by the Athenian statesman Pericles, the people from the surrounding countryside poured in behind the safety of the Athenian walls, opportunistically raiding Sparta's allies and severing the peninsula from any trade and supplies. This had been considered in advance of the conflict, and rich Athens had an ample supply of food into the congested city to feed everyone, but what had not been considered were contaminated grain shipments carrying disease, which quickly spread across the crowded city. At first, the city was resilient, motivated by Pericles' captivating rhetoric. An estimated one in Pericles, and his kids were among the 4 Athenians who perished from the epidemic before it had finished. Ironically, the well-planned Athenian blockade of the Peloponnese had prevented Sparta and its allies from receiving any of the plague-tainted grain. At the height, Mercenaries refused to fight for Athens, and even the Spartans stopped fighting near Athens out of fear of contracting the disease. Instead, the Athenian survivors adopted a much more aggressive strategy, significantly increasing the raids and erecting fortified outposts along the Helots. Spartan slaves who outnumbered them 10-1 in the Peloponnese and coastlines were pressured Sparta to protect the home front by encouraging them to flee to these outposts. The 50-year Peace of Misses, which concluded this period of the war, never really took effect because both sides continued to raid one another through proxies from the beginning and finally directly in 415 BC. The Athenians came up with a strategy they thought would give them a significant edge, the conquering of under the leadership of the youthful, charismatic Athens statesman Alcibiades, the opulent city-state of Syracuse on the island of Sicily, which shared control of the Mediterranean trade with Athens and Carthage, ended in disaster when Athens lost over 10,000 hoplites and 2/3 of her navy ships could be rebuilt. 30,000 professional rowers could not be replaced. This was followed by further catastrophes. 320,000 Athenians in Sparta slaves in the silver mines of the city. Then, after Athens demanded tribute from her vassals, which sparked a general uprising in Ionia, this last phase of the conflict is known as the Athenian general Alsa, by Adiz. Fearing punishment for his failure, he changed sides and fought for Sparta, which started to receive enormous sums of money from the Persian Empire, which saw the As a bigger threat. The Athenian Empire amassed a fleet and teamed up with his Corinthian allies. Athens, now essentially without a navy, was besieged by Sparta and quickly gave up Spartan control over the Greek world. Spartan dominion would only last a short time because its most valuable resource, Spartan warriors, had fallen much too low to sustain an empire, and following a string of minor conflicts following the Peloponnesian War, Alexander the Great's father, Philip of Macedon, was successful in subduing the destroyed Greek city-states.